Hello and welcome to our movie recap channel. Today I'm going to explain a crime thriller movie called The Town from 2010. Hope you enjoy the video, so let's start. The movie opens in the town of Charleston, Boston. In this town, banks get robbed commonly, and most of the country's thieves and robbers originate from here. Now, we see a group of thieves getting ready to rob a bank. The group consists of 4 members, James, Des, Glonsey, and their leader, Doug. Doug tells the group their target, which is a truck. The truck drivers are Arthur and Marty, who transfer money to the bank every Thursday and Friday. Doug and his gang rush into the bank with masks on and hold everyone hostage. Doug brings forth the bank manager, Claire, to open the vault for them. Claire's hand starts trembling out of fear, so Doug calms her and helps her open the vault. While loading all the money in their bags, one of the gang members goes to the security room and takes out all the hard disks of the CCTV system and puts them in a microwave to burn them. Meanwhile, Claire notices a tattoo on James's neck. They all quickly bleach the bank to remove every piece of evidence that can lead back to them. They all head out from the back, but James brings Claire with them as a hostage in case the cops follow them. They cover Claire's eyes and drop her near the lake. They all successfully escape without getting caught by the police, and afterward, the FBI arrives at the bank, led by Agent Adam Frawley and his partner Agent Dino. Agent Dino realizes the robbers are clever because their van was stolen, and they bleach the entire bank to remove all of their tracks. Now, Agent Dino and Adam arrive at the scene where the van was stolen. They find the van back in its place, but it's all burned. Agent Adam believes the FBI is facing professional thieves. Doug regroups with his gang the next day. James shows them Claire's ID card, which mentions her address as well. They all realize that Claire resides only 4 blocks away from their place, which means she might see them someday and be able to recognize them. James volunteers to get rid of her by stalking her and scaring her so she doesn't go to the cops or report them. Doug interjects, stating that James might create more problems since he brought Claire with him, so he will take care of Claire. Meanwhile, Agent Adam calls in Claire for questioning. He questions her about everything, starting from the robbery to her kidnapping. Claire asks Adam if the FBI can find them, so Adam shows her the map of Boston. He discloses that the majority of the world's bank robbers originate from a town in Boston called Charleston. At night, Doug and James meet a florist named Fergus Collum, who is secretly a crime lord. They pay him his share of the money because he is the one who provided them with the van. The next day, Doug stalks Claire and watches her heading to a local laundry shop. He follows her and enters the laundry shop. There, he sees Claire folding her dry clothes, ready to leave. Claire notices blood stains on her clothes and remembers the robbery, which makes her cry. Doug sees his opportunity and approaches her to cheer her on. He uses her vulnerability and flirts with her to make a connection with her. Doug asks her out, and later, they go on a date. On the date, Doug tells her he was born in Boston and he loves to play hockey. Doug talks about his father, stating that he works out of town, but in reality, Doug's dad was in jail. Claire mentions she is not from Boston and she is new to the town. The next day, James and Doug meet at a coffee shop, where James inquires intel from Doug about Claire. Doug assures her that Claire doesn't know anything, so she poses no threat to them. James smiles because he doesn't have to execute Claire now, but Doug reminds him that they are only thieves and not murderers or killers. At the same time, Agents Adam and Dino question the bank staff members about their security alarms. They ask him how the robbers deactivated the alarms, so the staff member reveals that the robbers probably hacked their junction box, which is from a company called Vericom, and only an employee of Vericom can hack it. Adam and Dino realize that at least one of the robbers must have worked at Vericom, or maybe he is still working, and if he's still working, then he must have taken a leave on the day of the robbery. Now, Doug and Claire hang out again. Claire starts to open up with Doug and tells him about the robbery at her bank. After listening to her, Doug realizes Claire doesn't know about his identity. Later, they go out for dessert, where Claire confesses that she lied to the FBI. She says that she told the FBI that she has no clue about the identity of the thieves, even though she noticed a tattoo on the neck of one of the robbers. She was afraid that the robbers might find her and murder her. On the other hand, the FBI gets the reports from Vericom. The report shows a man named Desmond, who works for Vericom, who happened to be on leave on the day of the robbery. Desmond was the full name of Des, who was one of Doug's accomplices. Agent Adam and Dino suspect him to be one of the robbers, so they go for a stakeout and follow Des. They follow him to a barbecue gathering where James, Doug, Glonsey, and their families were all present. Adam and Dino take pictures of James, Doug, and Glonsey and dig up all the information about them. The FBI finds out that Glonsey, also known as Albert, is an expert car thief. Desmond is a systems technician working at Vericom, and James Colin, whose father died in prison. James spent 9 years in prison at the age of 18 after shooting a man, and Doug McRae, who's their leader. They find out that all of them work for an old drug dealer named Fergus Collum, who is also known as Fergie the Florist. Agent Adam tells the FBI team that Doug's father is still in prison, and he also used to work for Fergus Collum. Like James, Doug had also been arrested for 8 months for stealing. Now, we see Doug hanging more and more with Claire because he's slowly developing feelings for her. He goes out with Claire again, and she talks about their new relationship. Later, she goes to the washroom, and James arrives and sits with Doug. Claire returns and sees James sitting with Doug, and Doug gets worried, thinking that Claire might recognize James or his tattoo. Doug introduces James to Claire, and they both converse a little. James starts making Doug uncomfortable by asking Claire about the bank robbery at her bank, so Doug sends him off. He grabs James's neck so Claire doesn't see the tattoo and tells him to go home. Afterward, Doug confronts James for the ambush on his date, but James gets furious at Doug for dating Claire because Claire is the only person who can expose them and hand them over to cops. But Doug reassures James that he has everything under control because Claire doesn't know anything about their identity. Doug mentions that they have to rob one last time, and then they will never have to raid or rob a bank. The day arrives, and they dress up as nuns to rob a bank. They see the bank truck and 2 security guards unloading cash from the truck. They attack the security guards and unload the money from the truck while the truck driver sneakily pulls out his gun on Doug, but James shoots the guard and eliminates him. They all take the money and drive away, but the police arrive and chase them into the streets of Boston. Eventually, the cops surround them, so they shoot at the police's car and run away. To remove their evidence, they switch cars and burn their previous car with gasoline. They run away successfully again, but Agent Adam was fed up with them, so he decides to bring in Doug and his gang forcefully for questioning because he is certain that they are behind it. Agent Adam interrogates them and tries to trick Doug into confessing, but Doug doesn't fall for his tricks, so Agent Adam lets them go. No one is left to blame, so now Agent Adam visits Claire's house. He tells Claire that they have found the suspects in the robbery, and Doug is one of them. He tells her that she opened the safe for Doug, and now they both are in a relationship that she lied about to the FBI, which means she's in trouble. Subsequently, Doug meets with James and finds out that Fergus has assigned them more robberies, but Doug refuses. He says he has left this life behind and wants to pursue his relationship with Claire. Doug goes to Fergus and tells him he is not doing any robberies for him now because he wants to quit. Fergus shares a story about Doug's father with him. Fergus mentions that when Doug's father wanted to quit, he killed his wife and framed him for murder. So, if he doesn't rob for him, he is going to murder Doug's new girlfriend, Claire. Doug gets intimidated and agrees to rob banks for Fergus, so he visits Claire, but she knew about his secret identity and was very pissed off at him. She yells at Doug and tells him to leave her alone forever. Doug was heartbroken but leaves Claire alone. Now, Doug, James, Des, and Glonsey reunite at Fergie's shop, where Fergus gives them their new mission and explains the heist through some maps and instructions. Meanwhile, Agent Adam keeps an eye on the shop from afar. Adam visits James's sister, Krista, and tries to scare and intimidate her to get some answers about Doug and Fergus, and he finds them. Later on, Doug and James dress up as cops and arrive at the new place to rob money while Desmond disables the security alarms. Doug and James approach the security guards in the cash room. They pin them down and tie them while they open the locker room and steal all the money. While loading their van with the money, Doug finds it odd that the parking lot is quiet all of a sudden. Doug peeks from the basement window and sees 24 armed FBI agents standing outside, waiting for Doug and his buddies to come out. Doug shoots at them to scare them off, but they had brought in SWAT soldiers as well, so the soldiers throw smoke grenades inside the basement. The SWAT team enters the parking lot and shoots Des. Now, Glonsey, James, and Doug were left alive. Glonsey suggests they dress up as cops and leave without being noticed while he escapes in an ambulance. Doug and James start disguising themselves as cops while Glonsey escapes in an ambulance, but the police fire at Glonsey and murder him. Back in the basement, Doug and James escape disguised as the police, but Agent Adam is very clever. He circles the street to see anything unusual and finds James walking as a cop carrying a huge bag. Adams follows James with his shotgun while Doug watches. James thinks he is being followed, so he runs away and hides behind a trash can. Afterward, the SWAT team enters the scene and shoots James in the face as soon as he stands up. While the cops gather around to see James, Doug quietly steals a cop car and drives away. He heads straight to Fergie's shop and opens fire on him. Now, Doug calls Claire from a secret location and tells her he misses her. Claire asks him if he can visit her because she needs him. It's revealed that the FBI is at her house, and they are forcing Claire to bring Doug to her so the FBI can have him. Doug watches them from afar with his binoculars and realizes it's a trap, but he acts on the phone like he is coming to see her. Doug wears a bus driver's uniform and heads out. He takes a bag full of money and buries it in the garden where he hung out with Claire. Hours pass by and Doug doesn't show up at Claire's, so the FBI leaves, believing Claire gave him a clue that the FBI is here. Before leaving, Agent Adam tells Claire that he is part of a national security agency, so he will find Doug one day and eliminate him. Subsequently, Doug hops on a train and moves to another city. Meanwhile, Claire goes to the garden and digs up the bag full of money left by Doug. Claire opens the bag and finds thousands of dollars and a note from Doug saying she should keep the money because she would spend it better than him. Claire sheds a tear, and the movie ends here. I hope you liked the story recap. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.